They said Islam was dead in Turkey. They were wrong. You know what's funny? For years, we've been told the same story. Turkey's gone. Islam is finished there. Ataturk won. I've heard it from academics, from Twitter intellectuals, from that one uncle who watched one documentary and thinks he understands a whole civilization now. And then the data dropped. And Allahu Akbar. I've been thinking about that ever since. Let me paint you a picture of what Ataturk actually tried to do, because people forget how extreme this was. This wasn't just let's separate church and state. No, this man looked at an entire Muslim civilization and said, I'm going to perform surgery on its soul. He banned the Arabic adhan, the call to prayer. He banned it in Arabic, forced people to say it in Turkish. Imagine waking up for Fajr and the adhan sounds wrong, just fundamentally, spiritually wrong. He replaced the Arabic script with Latin letters overnight. Overnight, an entire generation couldn't read their own Quran anymore, couldn't read their grandparents' letters, couldn't read the inscriptions on their own mosques. That was the point. He wanted to cut the rope between the Turkish people and the history, their deen, their Lord. He even went after the hat. The man banned a hat. The fez was illegal because in his mind, even the way a Muslim man covered his head was too Islamic, too Ottoman, too inconvenient for his vision. And you know what the secularists said after all of this? They said, give it a generation or two, the mosques will empty. The youth will forget the sunnah. Progress will win. Progress. That's what they called it. So here we are, nearly 100 years later. Let's check the scoreboard. 94% of Turkey believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 94% after all the laws, all the textbooks, all the state pressure, all the enlightened intellectual class sneering at the village grandmother for wearing hijab. 94% of the country looks up and says, yes, there is Allah and I believe in Him. The secularists ran the schools. They ran the military. They ran the courts. And they got 6%. 67% of Turks openly call themselves religious or very religious. Only 10% say they're not religious. 10. You know what that means? Even in a country that tried harder than almost anywhere on earth to manufacture secular citizens, it still couldn't break double digits on irreligion. Meanwhile, atheism is out here being called the future of humanity. Some future. Now here's the part I love. Friday prayer, Jum'ah, in the middle of a busy work week with traffic and deadlines and people glued to their phones. 78% of Turkish men don't miss it. Nearly 8 out of 10 standing in rows, saying Allahu Akbar in the same country where 100 years ago the government was arresting people for being too publicly Muslim. And Ramadan, this is where the secularist argument just completely falls apart. 76% of the country fasts. The whole month. No food, no water all day. And in some regions, the Kurdish cities, central Anatolia, fasting rates hit 92%. And it's not just the older generation holding on. The youth, they're increasing. The kids who grew up on TikTok and Netflix are keeping their fast. The generation that was supposed to finally let go did not. Alhamdulillah. Because here's what these secularists of the world never understood and never will. You can change the script. You can change the hat. You can change the call to prayer. But you cannot change the fitrah, the natural human pull towards Allah. It's in us. Allah put it there. And no law passed in Ankara has ever been able to remove it. People always say, oh, people get more religious as they get older. Fine, sure. But in Turkey, even the young are showing up on Fridays. Even the young are fasting. And as life does what life does, as it gets harder, as it gets lonelier, as it gets more confusing, those young people are going to turn to the same thing their grandmothers turned to, the Quran, the prayer mat, the masjid. The new Turkey that Ataturk dreamed about, secular, Western, Islam-free, it never came. What came instead was a Turkey that modernized its economy and kept its soul. They have the iPhones and the prayer beads. Surprise. Look, I'm not saying everything is perfect. Muslim societies have real problems, real sins, real struggles. We're not going to pretend otherwise. But this narrative that Islam is dying, that religion is just nostalgia for the uneducated, that atheism is the inevitable destination of any thinking person. Turkey just handed that narrative a report card, and it says F. See me after class. So next time someone tells you religion is on its way out, send them a Turkish Friday prayer video. Show them the rose. Show them the 94%. Show them what 100 years of aggressive state secularism actually produced. It produced a people who refused. Alhamdulillah for Islam.